Willkommen, meine Damen und Herren. Das ist Nucleum. Hello and welcome to No Friends Gaming, the home of board game strategy, solo hard mode playthroughs, and incredibly racist accents. Today we're investigating the game that asks the question, what if humanity used nuclear technology responsibly? Yes, it's a very unrealistic premise, but it is an incredibly fun game. So here's our strategy overview for Nucleum by Simone Luciani and David Turzi. The way you approach this game will be quite different depending on the experiment that you are playing as. You will want to research your ongoing technologies as soon as possible in order to profit more from them over the course of the game. In particular, your 7th technology provides a potent ongoing ability that will centralize your strategy. And your 8th technology is a powerful scoring opportunity that you should generally work towards. As Experiment A, you should try to research technology A7 as soon as you can. And one way to do this would be to take an early recharge turn to get more workers so you can afford the 4th turbine mine pair. Then you would capitalize on that tech by developing for more urbanized actions. You should look at the milestones and the contracts, especially the purple contracts, to know which buildings to build and in which color cities to build them. Urbanize in your opponent's networks to limit the spaces left for them to build in, and to access routes to power plants for energizing. With Experiment B, you should try to research technology B7 before your first recharge, so that you can use those special tiles more times. You could do this by building your 4th mine in a space with a uranium bonus, and developing for a new contract or discounted industrialized action, so you can get more uranium to convert to workers, and then afford to build rail to a turbine city where you can build your 4th turbine, unlocking the tech. Your 2 special tiles will actually give you a lot of flexibility. So from here, you could research technology B4 and then try to fulfill a lot of contracts, getting lots of resources along the way. Or you could shoot for techs B1 and B5 to do more networking. As Experiment C, you could research technology C7 first, followed soon thereafter with techs C1 and C4 to benefit even more from energizing. Alternatively, you could go for tech C1 first, by fulfilling an early contract, probably your starting one by building in the same location twice, and then you could do some early energizing, making your way toward techs C4 and C7 later. Capitalize on those techs by developing for new energize actions, and build out your turbines, since they will give you access to cheap electricity, particularly turbine 3, because that +2 electricity is really strong. Consider energizing neutral buildings for extra bonuses, and urbanize in Praha for double points, since tech C7 negates the downside of that city being somewhat remote. Unlike the others, Experiment D's 7th tech is not a huge priority. It's nice to have later on, but you don't need it for much of the game, so other technologies take precedence. And you don't even need to research techs D1 or D4, your other ongoing techs, that early. You should save most of your networking, however, until you have researched them. Then, build out an extensive network to make the most of those techs, and build government buildings to make the most of your extensive network. Particularly in Praha, again for the double points. When building rail, try to block opponents' networks so that their government buildings score less. There are many important sources of points to try and make the most of. We have milestones, purple contracts, your 8th technology, and energized buildings in Praha, and government buildings. It's somewhat inconvenient to urbanize in Praha early on, but once someone makes a connection to that city, other players should quickly do the same to stop them from monopolizing the double point spaces. Look out for overlapping goals, which you should aggressively pursue. For example, if a milestone and purple contract both ask you to build the same kind of building, you should race to build those buildings. But if it looks like someone else will win that race, then at least get out the respective government building and extend its network to other buildings of the same type to maximize its score, while blocking that other player's network so their government building scores less. 3 main considerations for your first recharge. If you happen to pick up a tile with achievement tokens on it, then you could use it and recharge early to get this Nucleum bonus before other players have the chance to. Or if it looks like someone will recharge before you if you wait to get achievement tokens, don't be afraid to simply recharge for the zero space bailout bonus, using the infusion of resources to build out your infrastructure, which will help you to fulfill more contracts to unlock technologies. Alternatively, you can try to get to at least 7 achievement before recharging, which would hopefully net you this Nucleum bonus and points for King's Day scoring. You should normally try and maximize the highest or second highest milestones, getting that juicy 11 times or 9 times multiplier for them by the end of the game. However, if those milestones are inconvenient for you and you happen to pick up some strong income tiles, then you could do multiple lower achievement recharges and get more points from income. Prioritize taking contracts which let you unlock technologies. Again, it's better to research your ongoing techs earlier rather than later. And try to get contracts with overlapping requirements, and those which play into the kinds of things that your experiment and the available milestones are encouraging you to do anyway. When gaining a contract, consider where you intend to place your next milestone marker, so you know whether to go for the 2 achievement stars or whether to get some specific resource that you need. It's quite expensive to build rail, costing you a worker, an action tile, and not progressing your next recharge's income like a regular turn would. So, unless you're Experiment D and possibly Experiment B, you should try to build rail as little as you think you can get away with, simply using it to access new cities here and there, and to improve the scoring of your government buildings. Use other players' networks to energize. Now, if a player starts a 2-rail link, it should be worth completing it in order to get that 2 VP bonus income. On that note, if you start such a connection, try not to expose an action that you care about doing, since someone might deny it from you. Yes, players are incentivized to color match so that they maximize their own actions, but they might simply give up an action that they don't care about as much. Or the colors on their tiles might simply be too awkward for them to conveniently match you anyway. And be especially wary about exposing situational actions like energize, urbanize, and industrialize, since if someone color matches you when you don't have the right infrastructure or you can't pay the cost, you might have to forfeit those actions anyway. Now, in the late game, you can place rail more aggressively if you happen to not be recharging again and you have excess workers. Just be sure to do enough regular turns to fulfill any remaining contracts that you have. In solo, more so than at other player counts, it's possible to anticipate what your opponent may be about to do and act accordingly. So there are 2 main considerations against the Baron von Automat: to influence his network and to control the length of the game. Firstly, networking. If the Baron has multiple tiles with the same action on them and workers to spare, he may place one of them as rail. If given the colors on those tiles and the 1 rail links available on the map, he might place that rail somewhere that messes with your plans. You could start a 2 rail connection somewhere else, which the Baron would then focus on completing instead. You can also use this technique to limit the kinds of city spaces that the Baron has access to, so that his future urbanize, industrialize, or energize actions might be forfeited. Now to game length. You should try to manipulate the action tile offer so that the Baron gains more tiles with the develop action. He would then take more turns using the tiles he's gaining before recharging, and this would delay the game end trigger for his 3rd recharge. That gives you more time to benefit from your ongoing technologies and to get to your big point scoring payoffs, such as fulfilling purple contracts, energizing buildings in Praha, and amassing achievement tokens. Also be on the lookout for when the contract and action tile stacks are running low, so you can ensure you get the 3 VP bonus for depleting them. So, in summary, consider your experiment's ongoing technologies to formulate your strategy and try to research them as early as is feasible. Pursue overlapping point scoring opportunities, use contracts to get early technologies, and place rail judiciously. And against Baron von Automat, manipulate his rail placement where it would be advantageous to do so, and try to help him gain more develop actions to extend the length of the game. Now, please join me in the next video where we will put these strategies to the test by confronting the good Baron on the hardest difficulty level. See you there!